Alright, today I'm going to show y'all how to turn a topwater bass plug. I'm using some cutoffs I have in the shop. This is a piece of poplar. I can't really use it for turning caws. It's kind of a low grade poplar, but it's great for bass plugs. That's one thing. If you're a woodworker, you have plenty of scrap wood laying around to make plugs. And the thing about it is they're cheap to make, they're fun to use, and my kids really enjoy painting them up. So let's get started on turning them. Alright, once I get it trued up and round, the next step that I'm going to do is decide the length. You can use a pencil and mark it. I don't do that. I mean, they ain't got to be, exact. So I just take a parting tool and make my cuts where I want my beginning of my plug to be in the end of my plug. Alright, after I get my body turned on the lure like I want, I'll take a little 220 grit sandpaper, lower my speed on my lathe to the lowest setting, which is 520 RPMs. You don't have to get carried away with the sanding on these. You know, when I make calls, I go all the way to 800 grit. But I mean, these are just bass lures. You just want to take all the fuzziness off of it, smooth it out a little bit. I might have to go up to 320 grit on that one. Alright, once you got your sanding done, you'll have to pick which end you want to cut off of. It doesn't really matter. Alright, now I'm going to take one of my finish saws and cut off this end right here, and I'll show y'all how to haul out in the mouth. Alright, this is it, cut off of the lathe. Now, this is going to be a popper, so I'm going to need to hollow out the inside. There's a couple ways you can do this. I have a collet chuck set up on my lathe, and I have a small ball file attached to it. I really could get away with a little bit bigger size. This is just the one I have, the only one I have, so this is what I'm going to use. Another way that I have done it is you can put it in a vise, and if you got a nice sharp chisel, you can hollow out the inside. You just have to be careful that you don't bust off the edge. This old ball file I have, it's getting pretty worn out, so I'll get my rough shape with this, and then I'll take it over to a Dremel tool, and I will haul it out a little bit closer to the edge, because the thing about this ball file, you can get carried away with it, and if you get it too close to the edge, it might run out with you. But we're going to start. Alright, it smoked a little bit. Like I said, that ball file was about shot, but it did what I needed to do, so it hollowed it out. So now I'm going to take it over to my workbench, and I'm just going to work these sides down with a small ball file or either a small sanding disc and open this up a little bit more. All right, I finished up the lure. I hollowed out the mouth like I said I would. I just used a Dremel tool to open it up, and then I pre-drilled me some holes, and I put these eye hooks in it. Now you can buy commercially made eye hooks for lure making, but I'm not making a whole lot of them. I'm not doing this to sell. This is just a fun little project for me and my kids to do. So I just go to the hardware store, and this is what what they had, which was 5/8 inch small eye hooks. And what I'll do is before I screw them in, I'll put a little dab of epoxy on them just to give them a little bit more holding strength. But to be honest with you, I don't even know if that's necessary. For most of the fishing we do, we're fishing for small pond bass. These are two lures that I have made for my kids. The first two I'd made actually, and they've been holding up very, very well. I hadn't had any eye hooks or anything, but like I said, about the biggest bass they've caught on is maybe about 5 pounds. And another thing you're going to have to buy or either make is split rings to hold your hooks on. I didn't have any on hand, so what I used was I had some, I believe it was 40 thousandths diameter wire. Some I had laying around in my shop, and I took that wire and folded it over and made a split ring with it. Now it probably, it's not, I guess what you consider professional, but for what we're using them for, they hold just fine. I mean, my kids have caught, I don't know, probably 30 or 40 fish on each one between these two lures, and they hadn't pulled out yet. I'm sure next time I go to a store like Bass Pro or something that sells these by the bag, I'll try to pick up some, but it's not 100% necessary. If I was making them to sell, I probably would put some actual split rings on it, but like I said, it's not necessary. All these lures my kids painted. Here's some we just finished up this morning. I was trying to get them to paint it to look more like some of the old headed Topwater plugs. This is a broke back Topwater lure me and the kids made. I just took one eye hook and opened it up and attached them together. I don't even know how well it'll run yet, but just something fun to let the kids play around with. They really enjoy this stuff, Also, like this lure, there's something else you can do. I opened up the mouth a little bit. Sometimes on like the head lures, you'll see where they cut the mouth open slightly, and that's what I did. On paints, like I said, the kids painted all these with some acrylic paint, and then I put a final acrylic finisher just out of a rattle can to seal them up a little bit better. You can make these just as fancy as you want. Some people even take like an onion sack and lay over it and spray paint them, and it gives it a scale-like look. These are not exactly, I guess, what you call a high-end lure, but my kids really, really enjoy making them, and they seem to really catch the fish for what they are. And this is something fun you can do with your kids that doesn't cost a whole lot of money. They'll get a real big enjoyment out of it, and you're making memories with your kids, and they'll have a tackle box of lures to remember you by. Well, y'all have a good day.